And good morning, I'm Jay Clifton Payne. I guess I don't get a timer with my streaming live set up for my tablet, so it goes live, it counts to 1-2 seconds, and then it's gone, so I can't even tell how I'm doing. I guess if I had it in portrait mode, it would have the little stuff at the bottom, so I can't see how things are going. I have to get another setup to monitor that. I may actually do that. You know what? Right now, I think I will do that. It's a little extra early. It is 5:39 Central Time. I am up a little early today because we had to do a little bit of a flip-flop in our workflow today. My wife has a early meeting today, so she's doing all her preparations a bit early. So instead of me getting ready and then coming in to do this, I'm doing this and then I'm getting ready. I have a more flexible schedule at the moment. So this is day 3 of my 5 days of streaming live, doing this here podcast, recording my podcast live, letting you see what's in there. Today I'm basically ready to go. I've already pulled my data. I've highlighted my 3 and my T's, and it's really 5. We had a lot of things happen yesterday. We had 14 total stories that we shared throughout the day yesterday. And so I'm learning this whole thing just like you guys are in the process of how things are going, and learning the process, the Facebook Live stuff. Like I told you, I've loved audio. I've loved radio since I was a kid. I've actually loved TV and just broadcasting in general. I loved radio since I was 11, and I've been basically trying to be a part of, or really being a part of it at the most time. But the biggest problem I've had is literally time. And video, which is becoming all the rage these days because of the ability to put a video camera in everybody's pocket, a very high-powered video camera in everybody's pocket, has become a new thing. So I'm doing these things. I'm doing these days live. Ooh. So now I've got the playback here on this monitor here. I can't watch it while I'm doing this, obviously, because it's going to be distracting. And I think I'm doing, because when I'm looking at the monitor, I can't see my face because the mic's where the mic is today. So I have to make sure I'm over here so you can actually see me. I don't think I froze up. That's not good. Maybe I should have done that. Okay, so hopefully I'm not going to freeze up in the actual recording I'm going to do now. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Well, so we've got this ready to go. I've got some water nearby me. I'm going to go through this thing. I'll probably stop a couple times because I am a little waking up dry right now. So that sort of happens. And we are going to knock this thing out, assuming I didn't mess things up by trying to be a bit too technical. So today is Wednesday the 9th of August 2017, and we're about to record the daily recap podcast from thisisconversation.com. A lot of tongue going on. A lot of tongue going on. Yeah, the process isn't pretty when it comes to me. A lot of tongue going on. All right. David Letterman can't stay away from the TV. Netflix finds a way to bring him back for a short run. Meanwhile, Sinead O'Connor is back, but she's not doing so well. We'll tell you about her latest Facebook Live. That's that's why I don't do live radio anymore. Excuse me. David Letterman just can't stay in retirement. Netflix finds a way to bring him back for a limited engagement for your television. Meanwhile, Sinead O'Connor is back in the spotlight after a live video explaining where she is and why she's not doing so well and the loss of 3 legends yesterday. We'll talk about them and other great stories. 14 total stories spread across the internet yesterday with sharing, and you get a chance to tell us what the best ones are. We'll tell you what you said about that in just a moment here on the Daily Recap Podcast from ThisIsTheConversation.com. Today happens to be August the 9th, 2017. Okay, I just did a little extra work, which I think works well since I have the 2 monitors set up here so I can do this in live in color, literally in color. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories total that I'll actually talk about. I'm going to take this. I actually had an extra something there that wasn't there. So we actually only had 13 stories spread. I had a promo line in there that I didn't erase. Count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories to talk about. 3 of them are deaths, and they'll be crammed in together very quickly, so that's why in the tease I put it that way. Of course, the loss of Glenn Campbell yesterday. Also, Barbara Cook, a former legendary, she's still a legendary star, but she's a former Broadway performer. That's why I'm seeing former. She's a Broadway performer, a legendary one. Barbara Cook dying at 89, and at 88, the original Godzilla actor, the man originally in the rubber suit, died yesterday as well. So we're going to get into those right now. I'm going to do a little something extra and hope that doesn't mess me up either. I'm going to respread. I'm not going to just do it in that order since that's where I put it. That makes sense. Let's do it like that. It's always a learning process. It's always going back and forth and kind of re-editing and relearning, reprogramming, redoing whatever it is you're doing. Relearning, rethinking, resizing, regurgitating. And welcome to the podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm your host for this podcast. I like to think I am a great person to have great conversations with, and I know you out there are as well. This is the Conversations Daily Recap Podcast, and today happens to be the 9th day of August. So on this Wednesday, we're recapping the stories we talked about on yesterday all day for Tuesday, 14 of them that you guys gave lots of input to, and we're glad to have you along the way. If you didn't give any actual input to it, this is how you get a chance to do that. You go to your phone, you go to your tablet, you go to your PC, and make sure that we are in your social media feeds because we feed these stories, these topics, these headlines with links to full stories to you all day long. Go to Twitter and follow th_conversation. Go to Facebook and look for This Is a Conversation. And go to our main website, ThisIsTheConversation.com. Check it out for great features, including the links to join the Conversation Survey panel, where we have extra questions for you. We have a panel that offers up surveys that can pay you directly. Don't jump through hoops. If you put yourself in the kitty and we choose you for a survey, you don't have to requalify. You're qualified. Do the survey, get paid just like that. Check it out at ThisIsTheConversation.com/survey panel. Now, let's get on to the actual stories from yesterday and the podcast. Starting off with what was by far the top story of the day, David Letterman, because everybody misses David Letterman, looking like the old guy with the big shaggy beard. I'm not sure if that's going to stick around, but he's going to come back to TV very, very soon. 2018 is a target date for a new Netflix talk show, an hour-long TV talk show where David Letterman interviews people for a full hour. Now, we know David Letterman is a lovable character on air. We know David Letterman has an ability to, or at least a reputation of not being the most lovable guy off air because his his domain is his domain. He controls his world, but everybody loves his delivery on TV. Everybody seems to love him who actually knows him and spends good time with him. David Letterman's coming back to Netflix in a new way, doing a new style of talk show, which isn't so much new. It's just new because it'll be on a streaming service. And he's only doing 6 episodes for this first season. We'll see how season 1 goes if he comes back. Of course, Chelsea Handler, of course, now on the Netflix roster, taking her show, which was once on the E! Network, and she's done some things all over the place, and now it is a Netflix exclusive. It comes out in batches often, and that's how it works there. Netflix looking for more new programming. Of course, rumors have it that Netflix is billions of dollars in the hole for all its original programming, even though it brings in so many viewers. That number, it was disputed from somewhere around 20 to maybe 2, but most of that is because they do have licensing deals and they do have issues with, of course, the live programming. We will talk about a bit about Netflix in a moment, so we'll come back to them in a bit. We'll let that simmer and let you know what's happening with them, or without them, if you will. Now, Sinead O'Connor gave a live video a few days where she broadcast from a hotel in New Jersey where she's saying she's suicidal, she's not doing very well, and she's, of course, living in this hotel, which is in the, quote, arse end, unquote, of New Jersey, which you can figure out which end of New Jersey is the arse end. But she ain't doing so well. So outpourings of love and sympathy are going out to Sinead O'Connor. No one is really goofing on her. And this is what's really cool about this. Sinead O'Connor may or may not have gotten herself into this boat. You can have that argument all you want to. But there are plenty of people out there who are jumping on the "why aren't you giving this woman help" bandwagon. People are straight up saying, we do all these things and tease all these folks and say about all these troubled stars who can't get a break. Here's one that everybody seemed to love at some time, and then she just went bonkers for the public. But now she's reaching out for help. No one has to give her a big $1 million contract, but someone should offer up some help for Sinead O'Connor. She should have some friends, some co-workers, some people who actually enjoy being around her that should be able to give her something, give her a leg up, give her something to do to get herself out of this, and of course, actually spend actual time with her to help her make her way out of her thing. We'll see how well Sinead O'Connor will react to this, and if she can actually react to this. Some people, if you deal with people who are mentally challenged, or people that literally who are homeless, who choose to be homeless as opposed to go get themselves right, and people with mental issues that don't want to clean up, don't want to get off drugs, don't want to do the right things and go through the program, they just want the freedom, so that means living out in the streets. I've dealt with people like that. They're people who just refuse to get right and won't get right. Sinead O'Connor putting out a plea saying that she is ready to get out of whatever's going on. How she ended up in New Jersey, I guess somebody will figure out, but nobody knows at this point. But we'll see if she gets the help that she's asking for very soon. A Google employee named James Danmore wrote a memo, sent an email out that went across Google about gender stereotypes, essentially saying that there isn't a problem with hiring more women or even more diverse minorities. We just keep up the guys we got right now, make life more comfortable for us normal white guys. He didn't say normal white guys, but that's basically how it was portrayed. It's the culture of young white wild guys, man boys, running the asylum, if you will, and the fact that you have to bring in women, and that means less man boy action, is a problem to the company. We can get a lot more stuff done if we didn't have to, play nice for the girls. That got him fired. Of course, it got Google a lot of bad press over the weekend as the note was spread across the company and, of course, leaked out to people across the world via the news and the internets. And a lot of people not so happy with Google. Google already dealing with some discrimination cases right now, exactly right now, because of this stuff. And that's what happens with larger companies when you don't see a lot of natural diversity, especially in companies that are ruled specifically by men in the industry. Silicon Valley and the engineering industry, the tech industry, of course, kind of a man thing, even though there's lots of play and lots of showing and lots of visions of women doing their thing, they're just not doing their things at the top of many of the bigger companies. That just so happens to be where it goes. Numbers popping up. Trump's approval numbers hit an all-time low in a new CNN poll. Meanwhile, U.S. drug overdose deaths reached an all-time record high in a new poll as well, new study as well. So there's two quick examples of numbers that get in the way of things. Trump, even though he's on vacation, is doing his Trump thing and sending out tweets on stories that yesterday he sent a tweet on a story, retweeting a Fox and Friends story that, of course, was dug up from classified information that was leaked, even though he complains about the leakers. But he essentially spread the leaks and maybe unclassified the stories because Trump can do that magically. With things like that. On the drug overdose record, Donald Trump put a big focus on taking care of drugs. Of course, he went to New Hampshire and talked about how the opioid epidemic is just horrible there. And then, of course, he called the president of Mexico and said he won New Hampshire because it was a drug den and people just don't know any better. When A, he said nice things about fixing things in New Hampshire, and B, he didn't actually win New Hampshire. That's a whole other story. But the drug overdose deaths are going at a record high this year. So there's something that needs to be done about that. Whether the president can get off of his arse and do something about this. And of course, he does have other things going on. Of course, yelling at North Korea isn't helping right now. But whether he can do something to fix this thing he promised to fix is a big problem. Let's go back to Disney for a second. We're going to talk about HBO and their hacking segment. Let's go back to Disney real quick before we miss on this one. Or let's go back to Netflix. Not Disney. We're going to trim that up because I said like Disney. We're actually going back to Netflix. I'm going to kill that part. I'm going to drink some water because I feel a cough coming on. Monologuing is hard, and while I really cringe at the people who are doing the live feeds and the webinars and do the, now I will drink a glass of water. Bear with me as I sip a glass of water. Here's my water infused with blah blah blah. I'm going to take a sip and let you do, even though it's goofy and it's stupid. It needs to be done when you're doing these longish monologues. We see people who do long form speaking on stage, just in any venue. Maybe just your pastor at church who does he gets 30 minutes for a sermon, or just you're at a class, you're sitting in a lecture, and you have someone that gives a long lecture for classes, or you're literally at a conference and someone's giving a keynote and they get 60 minutes and they just keep going. Water is a very important thing because it keeps you going. You can talk. Another belch. And of course, as I told you, if you don't speak properly, if you don't learn the proper way to do things, you get things like that. That's why singers have their vocal training so they can not swallow as much air, so they're not literally gassy in the middle of the performance. So let's get back to Netflix. Did I go that long, really? Oh. That was weird. Oh. Thought I'd already gone 18 minutes. No, I've only gone 9. Ooh, here we go. Swipe left to see the viewers. Okay. There we go. Now I know how this works. I can swipe back right to see, I don't know what that is. Comments? See, I'm learning too, so I can see viewers there and there. So I knew there was a way to make it work. All right, so let's get back to the recording. I'm just going to let that roll for a second and cut it out in the editing. Let's get back to Netflix for a quick minute. Now, we talked a moment about David Letterman bringing in or being brought into Netflix for a new TV show coming up in 2018. Why it takes that long to do 6 hours of TV? Well, it just takes that long. They're really that good, I guess. But an issue by 2018. think it said 16. Let's go back to Netflix really quick and talk about an issue they may have by 2018 where David Letterman coming back to TV then. Why it takes him 2 years to make 16 out, or 16. Let's go back to Netflix real quick and talk about an issue they will have come 2018, actually coming fairly soon. Why it'll take David Letterman, a year to make 6 hours of TV, we don't know. But by that time, Netflix will probably need a little extra content, believe it or not. What's the deal? Disney. Disney figured out that it has enough stuff in its library to do its own streaming service. Now, it's not something they're not so shy about. Disney already has various services where they partner with other people. One of the biggest things they have is something called Disney Movies Anywhere, which is actually partnered with Vudu, an online service that allows you to tap into streaming video from anywhere. So you can buy the movie digitally and then you can use it on that Vudu app, or you can get it through some other apps or watch it through other streaming services, such as Netflix. Netflix, you pay the subscription, and then they work the rights with Disney, so they have certain things on at certain times. The biggest thing that I have on my Netflix is watching many, many Disney Junior TV shows on demand via Netflix. But that won't be available very, very soon. Disney is going to pull all of its movies and all of its programming from Netflix, put it together with ESPN and start its own streaming service. Disney, of course, owns ESPN and various other channels, ABC as well. So they're going to start pulling specifically the Disney movies and a lot of the ESPN long-form programming from Netflix and put it in its own streaming service, which you'll pay, your own money for, but because you will want to see Disney movies at a more at a better clip. Essentially, they of course have access to everything when they feel like it. So the Disney Vault may no longer exist because they can keep things online forever and just shuffle things out as they want to, a lot quicker, as opposed to taking away for years and years. Back in the day of VHS tapes and DVDs were the only source of your Disney viewing after it was out of the run of theaters. They had the Disney Vault, which is essentially just a way to market, keeping movies out for about a couple months and then going away for years. So the classics would be on sale for about 3 months and then go away for about 6-7 years, and they just recycle it. With enough classics, you can do that for a long time. With Disney streaming, we'll see how often they'll siphon off some movies. Some newer movies seem to be there all the time. Lilo and Stitch is there all the time. Trust me, we watch Lilo and Stitch a lot in our home. But we'll see if some of the classic movies like Snow White or Cinderella, the original ones, actually stay around much longer because they'll be in the streaming service from Disney for a price. Now, the HBO hackers that we heard about that have been releasing episodes of Game of Thrones a little early got more than just the videos. They got some pretty big detailed documents and the emails for executives at HBO. This, of course, is a big concern about what's in the documents, what people know. We learned from the Sony hack a few years ago, a lot of disparaging, a lot of really, really dumb things are said by executives in their emails. We learned that from the Clinton hack as well, that a lot of disparaging and dumb things are said inside of people's emails. We'll probably learn fairly soon some disparaging and dumb things said inside of the HBO executives' emails, because these things, this is how conversations go, and they get kind of stupid. Whether this will be essentially an advertisement for Slack or a way for people just to be smarter about their communication in general, we'll see if people learn from that. And yesterday, the loss of 3 legends, or at least finding out about the losses of some actually passing on Monday, but getting the news yesterday. The first story we put out was the loss of legendary Broadway performer Barbara Cook. She died at the age of 89. We also had a conflicting story where we had scheduled in a story for the original Godzilla actor from 1954, literally the original person in the rubber suit, Haruo Nakajima. He died at the age of 88 yesterday. And as that was going live, essentially coming down in the feed, we got the news of Glenn Campbell, who of course died after his battle of Alzheimer's at 81. Plenty of tributes going out to all 3 of those people, especially Glenn Campbell, a very big name in the community here in the States for music, for movies, and his battle with Alzheimer's essentially began in 2011. So he's been doing this thing for a long time. Glenn Campbell recently he kept touring. He kept doing all the things he did, what the assistance he could get. He recently had a tour that ended about 6 months ago or so, maybe a year or so ago, Basically, this is his literal last ride as he was trying to do all he could until he no longer could. He has ended his battle with Alzheimer's on a strong note and with plenty of love from his friends, his supporters, and many folks. There was plenty of Glenn Campbell being played in the radio station yesterday, let me tell you that. Glenn Campbell dying at the age of 81. And those are the stories that we chatted about all day yesterday on Tuesday. So this Wednesday, we expect to have a fairly busy day as well. As we said, we didn't put them in as conversation stories, but Donald Trump doing a lot of Donald Trump things, even though he's on vacation. So he's not in the public eye having public events, but because of the Twitter machine, he still has access to doing stuff like that. That's become really big. And he did give a nice speech about North Korea yesterday, which turned into fire and fury in more ways than one. Plenty to talk about on the Talking Head shows last night. We'll see how the aftermath of some of those things happen as well. And we're pretty sure plenty of other great things and some not so great things, unfortunately, will happen all day today. And we will document them by sending them out to you in our social media feeds and, of course, at our website, thisisaconversation.com. Check it out, check them out, so you can be a part of the conversation. Go to Twitter and follow us at th_conversation. Go to Facebook and follow us at This Is a Conversation, and go to the main website and just follow along, interact with the stories as they come down, and let us know what you think about them. Give us your opinion. Click on them, share them. We'll share them with friends, share them with enemies, share them with random strangers if you have the time, so that we have more people in on these great conversations. Of course, make sure you are subscribed to this podcast so you can hear how things go down the day after. And of course, on Saturday, we'll give you the top 10 of all the stories in the past 7 days. And of course, make sure you subscribe to that podcast so that you don't miss out on an episode. And you can also, if you have a little time, give us a rating and review. It helps people find us, those enemies and those strangers, and even a few friends, figure out that you got something good in your ears with your earpods, if you were using earpods, and they want to keep in well, because peer pressure is pretty awesome, we'd like to think. If you want to find out more about my other side projects, check out jclevelandpayne.net. And of course, wrapping this thing up for the day, thank you so much for being a part of the conversations every single day, being in and out and all over the place. We're glad that you let us know what are the most important stories of the day, and we're glad to have a chance to keep on doing it. Check out the conversation survey panel for a chance to get more input from you and us to actually pay you in the process. This is theconversation.com/survey panel. And of course, be back tomorrow on a Thursday edition of the Daily Recap Podcast, recapping the Wednesday stories that we put out in our social media feeds. Thank you so much, and join you again tomorrow. So that's it. We done. We recorded. We early. It is 6:06 in the morning, and barring next week when there's a 5-year-old rummaging through the house, we'll see how well this can go. I'm learning. It is very possible to get this thing done a lot earlier than I thought. When you're not distracted by actual work being done in the process. So we're going to work on making sure this thing is done early and done often early, and produced and sent out on an early note so you can take along with you, maybe to the gym a bit early. Maybe not quite that early, but we'll see. If you're West Coast, it might be ready for your gym shot in the morning. In the East Coast, it might be ready for your ride into work. You can stream it in on the streaming platforms once it gets uploaded. Spreaker is the best way because it goes directly into Spreaker, and then after a while it gets pulled into the other systems. Spreaker is my main host where it comes through. iTunes, and I'll even go to the website and let you know exactly where we're at. No, I won't, because I'm not open. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But apparently we're locked at the bit, so we're not going to do it. But it's on Stitcher, it's on Spreaker, it's on Google Play, it is in iTunes, I guess. Apple Podcast is there, and it comes up in various other places, Blueberry and whatnot. That when I'm not paying attention, I find out that that's where it is. It's the weirdness of the podcasting things are different people and different services pick them up and promote them as their own, or promote them as being there, especially if they're independent, because they can have that Google juice, if you will. Okay, so now I have it in front of me. We're on iTunes, we're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher, we have an RSS feed, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, and we're also on Google Play. I'm looking for a button that looks like this put on as well. So thank you so much for being a part of what's going on. Thank you so much for putting up with the belches. And thank you so much for just being you for conversations. I'm going to shut this thing down. I'm going to hit the showers, and I'm going to get ready to get a full day of work and a full day of doing some of this stuff here as well. Hopefully I can find a nice place where I can do a halftime report, a midday report, whatever I'm going to call it. Let you guys know how well or not so well the stories are going for the day, because we'll see. I think I have some meetings off site in the middle of the day, so I think I'll pop in. Hopefully not from the car, because that sort of bugs me too. But we'll see if we get a chance to stop by and do some halftime reporting on what's going on today. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I always have a hard time saying goodbye. I guess that's my thing. Never can say goodbye. So I'm going to say goodbye. We'll do it again for day 4 tomorrow, coming up on the This is the Conversations podcast. I'm trying to stop it, folks. It won't go away.